are like the rate.
And that's the Zoom that we're on.
Yeah, so like
Okay.
And the distribution.
Setting up your meeting for YouTube Live.
Yeah. They were doing well.
We've done this before.
And then it went,
Couldn't tell you the process we got through, but this looks familiar.
but you didn't, have you gone into the office yet?
We had to last time. That's why the
So that's why it's
office
on
address is up there.
And you put it on,
And
okay.
then you are on yours over there.
Okay, so that's fine.
Yep.
We should be good.
Yep,
I
we're good.
think
Sounds
we
like
want
one.
to
So they'll be able to everybody.
Right. And then it went, but we're gonna go.
Couldn't tell you the process we got through, but this looks familiar.
But you didn't, have you gone into the office yet?
We had to.
Okay, so that's why it's on.
And then you are on yours over there.
Okay, so that's fine.
Yep. We should.
And then go back to,
You need somebody, is there somebody that can log on to the, this meeting's being live streamed? Got it.
We are live.
we're live right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're live.
All right, and then do you have?
I've got them.
Great.
See, Susan, we know what we're doing.
It's technology.
We cannot, we can't replicate the process, can we? Okay, we need to write this down, Kim.
I
haven't done that
before.
Yeah.
And now more showed up.
And at the end of the free reading.
That's fine, right?
It's fine, okay, just now it showed up.
Okay.
Now it just said it just showed up.
And then.
Oh, Dana.
We're definitely in quorum, and it is 6 o'clock. Is Dana online still?
She is.
She's, I told her I was.
Yep.
So we are starting our meeting. Yay! I've called us to order, and do we have anybody? Parent, community member? Lisa Cole visiting faculty?
Yep.
Okay.
What just happened? That's Dana. And somebody left.
Is Lisa presenting today?
No, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You may just have a very fast agenda, we'll see.
Okay, all right, well
Me
then,
too.
co-directors, take it away. Oh, wait, review the
Great.
minutes, sorry,
Minutes.
minutes.
Mhm.
Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Much to approve. Second.
Motion, Neil.
All right, I got that.
Okay. Now,
Is everyone in
co-director.
favor?
Oh, is everyone in favor of that?
Aye.
Yeah,
All those in favor?
Oh, okay.
I mean, thumbs up works. Thank you. Now take it away.
All right. Michelle. Jay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, this is Jay Sharp. He is the auditor or part of the firm that provided us with our audit, and he's going to present his findings today. Jay, are you able to share your screen, or should we share the presentation through our screen?
It says host disabled participant screen sharing. If you can let me share it, I can share it on my screen.
Okay, Ken's making you the co-host right now, so you should be able to share in just a moment.
All right, perfect. There we go. All right, perfect. Thanks for having me on tonight. My name is Jay Sharp. I'm the audit partner in charge of the school's audit for 2023. So I'm here to present the audit results. So the status of the audit, field work has been completed. The financial statements have been prepared, and the audit has been issued for 2023. We are currently working on a 990 tax return. That is an informational tax return. You don't pay taxes, but the IRS does require all not-for-profits to file an annual informational tax return. This is an important document because it is public record. The numbers obviously come from the audit, but there's some additional information on that return. So when we send you the draft too, please review that carefully. All right, a little background on the auditor and what we're doing. We don't just come in and start crunching numbers, as they say. We do plan out the audit. Most of our planning procedures involved internal controls, understanding any updates to internal controls, and testing internal controls. So for 2023, we tested controls over cash disbursements and over payroll. And we do this because we have what we call a risk-based audit approach. What we're doing is assessing risk to all the significant financial reporting areas the school has. For example, cash, fixed assets, debt, revenues, expenses. We're going to concentrate our audit procedures on the higher risk areas, but we are going to look at every significant financial reporting area the school has. And we do this because as auditors, we have to obtain what we consider sufficient audit evidence to render an opinion on the financial statements. That is why you hire us, is to give that opinion. The opinion concentrates on whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement. So the results for the 2023 audit. Scope and timing of the audit were on track. No issues there. The opinion I was just talking about. So once again, the school received an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That's a clean audit opinion, the best possible opinion you can receive, and should be the opinion you strive for year in, year out. So good news there. I mentioned internal controls. So this is really a two-part audit. We look at the financial reporting for the school. And because of the state appropriations you receive and spend, we also have to do what we call a state single audit, which involves compliance testing. And so when we're evaluating both those items, if there are any issues, we're required to report those as findings. I'm happy to report for 2023, there were no findings noted during the audit procedures. Neither the financial reporting areas or the compliance areas had any findings. So all good news there for the school. As part of our audit procedures, we evaluate whether any adjustments need to be made to the financial statements. There was one adjustment we needed to make this year, and that had to do with an accrual process. Obviously, during the year, your books are kept more on the cash basis, and at the end of the year, they're kind of caught up on the accrual basis. So there's just one adjustment made for 2023. But kind of just to summarize the results, clean audit opinion and no findings this year. So all good news for the school. Next, we'll get into the numbers for 2000. One additional item regarding the audit. In addition to the audit, we're required to have what we call a communications letter issued every year. There's 4 main talking points with this letter. Nothing has changed, but the main talking points are: 1, if there's any significant accounting policy changes that affect your notes to the financial statements, we're required to let you know about those. There were none for 2023. During our audit, we paid close attention to anything that's any numbers that are derived from what we call estimates. The only estimate that the school has is the depreciable lives of its capital assets. Those estimates appear reasonable. No issues there. I'm happy to report we had no disagreements with management and no difficulties encountered whatsoever during the audit process. We appreciate everybody's cooperation that allowed us to complete our audit in a timely fashion. So all good news there. As I was saying before, is we will now go to the numbers part of the audit, kind of summarizing the financial highlights for 2023 for the school. Total support and revenue, just over $5.1 million. Total operating expenses, just above $5 million for the year. Other financing sources were transfers in between funds. But for your governmental funds or your main operating funds, you showed a change in fund balance being a positive change of $76,000 for the year. So you did show a profit relating to your fund statements for 2023. Looking at that in a little bit more detail, what makes up your revenues and expenses for 2023? Once again, the top revenue line item is the state of North Carolina appropriations, just over $2.9 million for the year. The local funds you received from the local counties, majority of them coming from New Hanover, were $1.4 million. Federal funding was about $525,000. Other revenues from other sources are about $140,000. And then student activities and fees were about $62,000. For expenses, your top expense line item continues to be salaries and wages, just over $2.5 million. The employee benefits, which are your retirement and health insurance, just over $1 million. Contracted student services, about $420,000. Debt service, which is the principal and interest payments on your debt, just under $300,000. and then books and supplies just below $200,000. Now, the next statement is not actually on the audit, but it's always something I like to bring up because cash flows are obviously very important to the school and to any company. And so there's three areas of cash flows: operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. So compared to last year, 2022, you had an increase in cash of about $60,000 during 2023. Now, cash flow from financing activities was negative $135,000. That's the principal payment on your debt. Cash flows from investing activities was negative $139,000. That was the purchases of capital assets. So you were kind of investing cash back into the school in the form of equipment, furniture, things like that you bought for the school. And then finally, the top line item is really the most important number. Are you able to generate positive cash flows from your mission, instructing students? And the answer for the school for 2023 is yes. You had $333,000 of positive operating cash flow. That's a very important number for the school. So all good news there for cash flow. All right, looking at some trend analysis, operating revenues and expenditures dating back to 2019. Here, red represents revenues, blue represents expenditures. So you've seen your revenues have gone up each of the last 5 years, a steady increase since 2019. Your expenditures have also gone up as your school has grown. But as I said, for 2023, you did show a profit for the school. Fund balance. So fund balance is the net worth of the school. And this is really looking at the short term. The financials are presented two different ways, but the fund statements are kind of your short-term net worth of the school. Back in 2018, your fund balance was just over $1.5 million. You crossed the $2.2 million threshold during 2023. So you've seen a steady increase in your fund balance of about $700,000 since 2018. Shows that your balance sheet is financially good and the school's done well over the last several years. Looking at some short-term liquidity risk ratios we like to run. First one, cash reserves. So what we're doing here is looking at your unrestricted cash, comparing to the prior year expenditures. How long could you continue operating without receiving any more cash inflows? We generally recommend this to be 3 to 6 months. For 2023, you were at 144 days. You're actually very consistent the last 2 years. You were at 144 days each of the last 2 years. And you've seen a slight uptick since 2021. So almost, not quite, but almost half a year of cash reserves in place for the school. So that's a good number for the school to have, definitely within that 3 to 6 months that we generally recommend. Next, we have working capital. So what this is we're comparing current assets to current liabilities. And do you have enough current assets in place to pay down your current obligations? We generally recommend this to be 3 to 1 at the very minimum. You were at 7 to 1 for 2023, so you have 7 times more current assets than current liabilities. So both this and the cash reserve shows that the short-term liquidity risk for your school is very minimum. So good news there. And finally, we're going to talk about the breakdown of, the functional expense breakdown of how you spent your money in 2023. And this is very important. So there's several categories that the state requires you to report this in. The blue piece of the pie chart here is the most important. This is your instructional services, your mission. For 2023, 76% of your overall expenses went toward instructional. We work with probably about 50 charter schools throughout the state, and you have one of the highest percentages. Typically, we see anywhere from 55 to 65%. So that's great news for the school. You're obviously spending more than the average charter school toward instructional services. So great news there. System-wide support or overheads, 15%. Your capital outlay or your spending on capital expenditures are about 3%. And then your debt service is about 6% for 2023. So that's kind of the breakdown of how you spent it by function for 2023. All right, that kind of ends my presentation. I'll be glad to take any questions you have on the results of the audit, audit procedures, or the numbers themselves.
Very impressive.
doesn't look like any questions. So thank you so much. We appreciate the information and you joining us this evening.
Great, thank you, appreciate it, and have a good rest of your board meeting.
Thank you.
Or not you. We'll enjoy. Bye. You too. You enjoy that. All right, so that was the first part of the Director of Operations report. The October 2023 budget is not linked, and there is a reason for that I'd like to explain. So we have seen a recent state allotment drop, and they're updating these numbers on the budget. Also, the projections, because of the salary increases and the retroactive payments that were made, and the contributions to retirement over the last month, the projections are completely off. So it is reflecting right now that we're $220,000, projected to be $220,000 in the hole at the end of our year. And it's not accurate, because what it does is it takes the expenditure from the previous month and it carries it across through the end of the school year. So that's why it looks like that. We know that we were funded less than what we were giving in salaries, but that's only about $18,000. So it's not a reason to panic, although I did when I first saw the sheet. We are fine, but it didn't provide useful, valuable information, and CFC is currently updating the state allotment, which has just been updated, and they're updating the projections should. So their explanation is it's going to ebb and flow throughout the year. The projections are not the be all end all, but it is something that will rectify over time as we have a normal months of payroll and benefit contribution. So we will update that at the next board meeting and have that condensed report as well. And we'll do the same with our finance meeting for tomorrow as well. Any questions about that? All right, the balance sheet is linked to your agenda if you're interested in looking at it. It looks very much the same. So we are still, as Jay just mentioned, we're still very supported in terms of what we have in the bank, and we have plenty to sustain us should anything happen there. So that's just kind of a breakdown of accounts receivable, accounts payable, and the assets and liabilities for this particular month. And our facilities report is rather short this month. We have upcoming projects. Hodges Electric is submitting a quote for lighting installation. The proposal is for a total of 8 lights installed on the back of the building. The front is well covered according to the electrician. Yes.
We're here tonight, right?
They have been here intermittently over the past couple of days. And this is something that we discussed with the board a couple of months ago to increase security across the campus. I did apply for the safety grant as well. So future work we're applying to, we can't do something that we already did. It's to supplement off the plant kind of thing. But just so you know, that work has begun and we're waiting on the final pieces of that for installation. A 9th light will be installed on the extension pole to face up the sidewalk leading to the upper playground, but that's as best as we can do there because of our accessibility to electric. So it's just going to give us a little bit of illumination there to help dissuade people from camping out. The locksmith visited the campus on November 2nd. They are putting together a proposal for appropriate access to the internal part of the building. So this is something that is a proposal, so we can take a quote and use that for the safety grant. So there's something we're hoping will be funded for. We did add badge access to the MPR as well at the front where the double doors are, as opposed to just the side. So we got the quote for that. We're hopeful that we'll get funded for that and we'll be able to install that. For the front office, we're looking at double points of entry so that it's more protected and secure. There's a badge access at the front and then a badge access to get into the building where the students are so that we have that additional layer of security as well. Any questions on that? School safety update. We met on October 30th as a safety committee to review the safety plan and discuss ideas for the safety grant. I wrote this well before today, but it closed on November 13th. We submitted for the safety grant. We're asking for about $47,000 in terms of updates to the building, the lighting, the night locks, which is something I think we discussed before. We do have them in the MPR. That's on the floor. They give you the additional security of not being able to breach the doorway. And the workshops as well. So Olivia is working with a partner social worker to bring parent information meetings to our school community about student mental health and well-being and how parents can support their children. This is also part of our strategic plan, and this nicely fits in with the school safety grant because there is a large bulk of funding that's being allocated for student mental health, as that is often the root cause of safety concerns. So that's part of it as well. Any questions on that? Moving right along.
It slipped my mind, did we finish up the fence?
We got quotes for the fence and it was about $50,000 for the fence. The safety team did decide that they would like to move away from that for now and potentially put in for funding in the future. All that was available for the $50,000 was a chain link fence that pretty much boxed us in and didn't allow for ease of ingress nor egress to our campus. So at this point, the decision was to prioritize other funding opportunities, but to consider that for next year's safety grant, provided they offer that. I do think it's important to note as well that this safety grant was not eligible for SRO funding. So that was not even on the table this time around. I know we've talked about that, but it is important for us to just take into account that that was not something that we could utilize that funding for. This was just for equipment and student mental health to support the safety of the school. Any other questions on that? All right, we do have a very brief human resources report. If all are in favor of moving that to the end of the board meeting. On to policy. So SB 49, we do need to make a decision on the SB 49 policies. This is, as it's known in the media, the Parent and Guardians Bill of Rights. The policies were sent out a little while ago for everybody to review, and this is an opportunity for you all to have that discussion about any concerns regarding this policy and any adjustments or edits that you'd like to make.
Susan, when we had that presentation about this, did she talk about a timeline? She said something like shift and change as far as what I remember her saying something about like what we decide now might shift in the future because of what the state's going to decide. So could we move ahead with approving it, but then if something shifts in the state, then we can have that flexibility if we had to readjust accordingly? Or
Yeah, a good question and always a possibility. So the thing with policy, I think everybody needs to take account of is you can have a board meeting today and have a special call meeting tomorrow and change your policy. It just has to be board approved.
do you have a recommendation for the board? Like what you think we should do to just go forward to get it?
I don't really have a choice.
Okay, good. All right. That's what I thought.
The advice that we're getting
Makes sense.
from
That
legal
makes it easy.
counsel, and she who presented to us developed this template.
Got it. Yeah.
And sent it out to anybody who wanted to review it. Of course, there were some edits that were made in terms of terminology. Like Kim went through and adjusted parent and guardians to be more inclusive and make sure that we're not just saying the parent,
Right.
to change the policy that way. But the actual meat of the policy, what it's saying, what it's prescribing, we can't make too many material changes to that, in my opinion, because legal counsel has developed this, so I would feel uncomfortable to make material changes. And it could change. We had a legal update today with Lisa, and it's, again, there's still a lot of talk around this. This is something that is not by any means set in stone. There's still a lot of discussion around
And
that.
if we weren't renewing a charter, we might be in a slightly different position, like take a stand.
And I don't have
But,
anything currently
yeah.
that I feel like I don't think any of us really feel that way, right? I feel comfortable moving forward with that, for
I think it's gonna continue to evolve and change.
sure. I do see, agree.
That's what the legal experts are saying right now. I'm going to a legal conference starting tomorrow, so I'm sure we'll have lots to talk about in that regard. And if I have the information to bring back to you, I will bring it back to you. But that was the most recent. I think because of that January 1 deadline, there's not much in terms of wiggle room. We certainly could have another special call meeting if people have other items that they want to consider. But by January 1st, we have to have this approved and therefore implemented, right?
She did a really good job explaining all the details of that, you know.
She did.
I didn't leave with any real questions.
Were there any changes from this document that we felt like impacted our handbook that we needed to change, or we were?
Yes.
Okay.
So that is, there's a short answer and a long answer, and I'll give you the medium one. So the short answer is, yes, it does, and Kim and I are gonna work on handbooks over the winter break, when people are out, and we have a moment to just kind of focus on that. The long answer is, Lisa, the lawyer who presented, has template handbooks that she's sending our way to review. Her take on that is, and this would obviously go through our processes specific to CFCI, but her take on that is your policies are your handbooks. Where we have, you know, your personnel policy manual is your staff handbook. Your student and family policies are your student and family handbooks. We are currently operating where they're in multiple locations, which opens us up to liability and conflict between those documents. If you think about, well, we changed this, now we have to go back and make sure this reflects that, and A connects to B. If it doesn't, then you're very easily stepping into litigation. So that was her point, and in conversations with her, she's just helping us to work through some of those things. So the handbooks will be revised to reflect what this needs to reflect, and then we will be coming back with a more updated, refreshed version of both the staff and student handbooks for the next school year.
Any more discussion? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Thank you, everyone. And I just made a note here for policies, and I think I've already mentioned this, but we are just continuing to evaluate the policies with Lisa so that we have ensured that they are up to date, accurate, and don't conflict with any of our other documents. So she's just having us to work through that. She's pointed out several weaknesses. She's spoken with the executive committee there. So it's been essential in the guidance to move us forward and actually get us to a point where I feel confident we'll soon have updated policies that we will have in front of you. We're just not quite there yet. That's it for me.
Ready?
Yeah, take it away.
So, as usual, enrollment is remained status quo since the October board meeting with 403 students attending the school. Any questions? No. Number 2 is marketing the school and enrollment. We've been trained, Lisa Cole, Deb Korb, and myself have been trained in Schoolment. We're working on making sure that our application is ready to go live on December 1st. We're also working on the policy for enrollment and our lottery process. And we'll be discussing that with the faculty tomorrow at our committee meeting. In addition, we've been putting some additional data in just to make sure that everything's all right in Schoolment. Again, we had another meeting today. Lisa, Deb, and I did. And that's that. Any questions about Schoolment or enrollment right now? So we are looking professional development. We have 3 teachers that are participating in the initial 5-day training. You may have heard of science of reading over the last few years. We've had several teachers take the first 5-day course, 5-day plus course. And we have 3 additional teachers that are taking it. It's being offered through DPI and in New Hanover County Schools. That's where we're having our teachers go. These teachers are Keisha Jordan, Susie Borda, and Kimberly Cherry. In addition, Lisa Cole and Jennifer LaFleur, who have taken the first part, this first 5-day training, they are going to be participating in another 5-day training, which will be a train the trainer model, so that they'll be ready to come back and offer training to our teachers. And also, if they wanted to offer, if we decided to offer something We could invite other schools in, or they could actually go to other schools to be a trainer. So that's great. I'm really proud of them and thank them for stepping forward. Math, any questions about that? Just so math curriculum. So we've been doing the Eureka math curriculum for over 5 years now. And in that time, our math scores have improved. And according to teachers, we've also seen real growth in conceptual learning, that type of thing, from the early grades on up. This year, we're planning on reviewing our math curriculum to include piloting Eureka 2. Great Minds, who's the maker of Eureka, our math curriculum, is phasing out, or is phased out this last year of using Eureka that we are currently using. And so they will no longer support that. And so we're looking at the Eureka 2 model, which they have, the new and improved version, I guess that's the best way you could say it. So we're looking at that, and we're also looking at Open Up, which is a North Carolina aligned math curriculum. Our middle grades is using it currently. Kathy started using it last year, Kathy.
Year before. Year before that.
Well, you used it in Math 1, right,
Math one,
first,
yeah.
and then this past year used it in the 7th, 8th grades, and we've also used it in 6th grade. So there's some with Carla Bromstead, she's the other one that was using it, and so there's been some real ability to see how it's been working and how it lines up with the way we teach and the way we think. And so, and I just added that Carla and Kathy also attended some professional development this summer in Atlanta for that as well. So we're looking at those two curriculums, and tomorrow we'll talk about if there's any other curriculums we want to look at, and then we'll try piloting some of the lessons and units this coming spring. I've ordered some of the two from the two Eureka 2 and Open Up some materials for teachers to look at and start to try. There's a lot of online type of things as well, but that's our process.
Kim, if we ended up deciding to really consider Open Up, would there be money allotted for some teachers to go and actually do training with that, like we did with Eureka, or do you think that might be tricky?
Even if we stuck with Eureka, we'd still have to have, some pretty significant PD. So, yes. Any other questions?
So is Open Up replacing Eureka?
It
or-
could.
Okay,
It's not replacing it from Great Minds standpoint. Eureka 2 is the replacement
For that.
curriculum, but we've also used this other curriculum called Open Up in the upper grades instead of Eureka. And so it does have a K-5
got it.
curriculum as
Okay.
well. So we're
So we're
planning
using-
on looking at that as
So
well.
Eureka 2 in the younger grades, the other one in the higher grades.
No, we're all set for the upper grades now. They used to use Eureka, now they're using Open Up. But right now, we're looking to see what we'd like to try to pilot and look at. So one of the choices is Eureka 2, which would just be the new and improved version of the Eureka curriculum that we currently use. Or since we're looking, and since we've had some success with the Open Up curriculum.
And it's North Carolina line.
Got it.
They
Okay.
both are, but
Oh,
yes.
they both are?
Yeah.
You guess, I thought it was.
They are, it's just not as friendly.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, the point is that we're looking at that, and then possibly one other curriculum to look at about what we'd like to move forward with next year.
That's all I know. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Any other questions about that? The newsletters are included in this, the weekly newsletters that we put out are included here with the links, just so you have them. For PCM, we started off a little bit, so this is kind of our plea to parents we've started making phone calls to people that were on the PCN. We have a meeting next week. It's a really important part of our school, and it gives us really good parent input, community input, parent input. So we're looking for our parents to come forward and be representatives for the loops. We have faith, they will come through, but we have a meeting next week too. So we'll put one last plea in and see what happens then.
I think so. PCN is small though, right? It has like a parent per group. Is that how it goes?
It is, it's a parent privilege.
And so we haven't filled that yet.
Not yet. There are some that people either haven't been able to come or there are gaps. So making some last phone calls. I put a plea out in the community update. I think I'll have teachers actually reach out to parents this week as well and see what happens.
What moves are lacking?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
I think we're good with middle grades, and I think we're good with tutors at K1, which is, K1 is hard because they're new and just getting started, and then 4, 5. So we can reach out.
Yeah, Kim, I think what you said about us reaching out to parents personally would be,
Yeah.
also go a long way.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
I know we have a bunch of that.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then just send them our way, and happy to follow up with them.
Realize we didn't even have a representative.
And that's just representing on PCN as that body, for lack of a better term. All parents are welcome and able to participate. We don't need just,
Right,
right,
they're
yeah.
limited at one space. If they are interested and want to participate, they're welcome to attend meetings and provide their feedback and input as well. It's just that one person is that rep for that loop level. Should they need to funnel some concerns through that person to get to PCN, that's kind of the formalized process of how that takes place.
Partnership had a very successful book fair in October. And it had a very well attended, they actually said it was the best attended event that they felt they've ever had, fall festival and trunk or treating. And it was nice. Great. So fun, that's good. And so coming up, they have Winterfest coming up on Saturday, December 2nd. And the time has changed a little bit. It usually is from 9 to 12. They're doing it from 10 to 1. So mark your calendars, please come. It's a great time for to be here and be involved. And this year, just as a reminder, and just so you all know, in case you don't know, the partnership provides teachers with funding of $125 in the fall, and then $125 in the spring to help them pay for different items that they might have to enrich their classrooms and to support inquiry. So we want to put that out there because sometimes you don't see when you're raising money for something what it goes to, and so we just wanted to say this is one of the things.
Kim, I
that
can
they
also
do
give a
really
little shout out to the
Sure.
partnership. They also reimbursed myself, Shannon, Joanne, Liz Sharp, Michelle Hare for our funds that we paid towards the Science of Reading PD, year-long PD that the five of us are doing this year. They actually reimbursed the 5 of us for what we had paid out in the summer to be able to do that PD. So
Did you ask them for that, or did they just?
we actually, it
Was
kind
that
of opened
an
fast this summer, we jumped on it. So looking, back, we ended up asking them just to reimburse us and they did, so.
Carla and I wrote a grant
Yeah.
and they paid for our housing to our conference in Atlanta for Open Up this summer.
Look
Which
at
is pretty
you.
significant. Yeah. they're
And for
amazing.
us, it was like, this great PD opportunities open up, thing up, and so we just kind of jumped on it and went ahead and.
Yep.
So they actually ended up.
They're pretty
reimbursing us.
wonderful.
So,
Yeah, it is.
We just have a brief closed session. If you want to go into closed session.
Do we need to approve these field trips that are on the end of your thing?
They're not on there.
They're still pending?
Yeah.
When will those
Alright.
be approved?
We need the paperwork for them, so we'll find
We've been sent paperwork to vote on.
the paperwork available. So, yep.
Okay. I would appreciate having a link to that. That would be awesome. Sure. Fill that out.
Absolutely.
The way it's very good with DC paperwork.
Oh,
Last
yeah.
time I checked, it was
Okay.
Do we
available.
need a
We need a
motion to
vote to
move?
go into
Yeah.
closed
Need a
session.
motion to move into closed session?
Make a motion.
That's the request, right? The form can know about.
All in favor?
Yeah, I think Ben was supposed to meet the first. I'll send you a challenge.
Thank you.
We don't want them.
You don't have to stay, no.
If they're leaving, you
No,
don't want
we
me
need
to.
to-
Do
we have
you
to
need that?
record.
Bye.
Bye.
We're
Bye.
not moving.
We're not,
No.
we're not.
Thanks, Neil.
Okay, we're, unmuted.
Motion to.
Do we have a motion to approve the HR?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
All right, we're done, guys. If you also choose to adjourn your meeting.
I adjourned this meeting.